What's going on, guys? Metal Music Junkie here, aka John Browning, and today's video is going to be a list video. I'm going to start doing more of these because I really like making them. This video, I am going to be going over my top 10 favorite albums of 1990. In my opinion, 1990 was a really good year in music. I mean, a lot of great stuff in the metal scene, and the thrash and the death metal. Alternative music was starting to pick up with some of grunge and some of like the post-punk new wave. Well, not new wave, that was kind of dead, but more like gothy leaning stuff. Rap was starting to build up, like a lot of good shit in this. So, and these are in no particular order, so without further ado, let's begin with the first album I'm going to talk about. Depeche Mode and their album Violator. In my opinion, this is the band's best work yet. I mean, you really can't go wrong with Depeche Mode, really. I mean, I don't think they've really released a bad album. Even the ones I don't really care for, I still think are perfectly fine. But this is their finest moment. I mean, it has some of their most iconic songs. Personal Jesus, Enjoy the Silence, which is one of my all-time favorite songs of any genre, really, and Policy of Truth, and World in My Eyes, Halo, Waiting for the Night. Like, the whole album is fucking amazing. If you haven't heard it, which it's a really popular album, I don't see why you haven't. What the fuck are you doing? Go listen to it. Even if you're not into, that style of music, go listen to it. It's amazing. Now we're going a completely different direction with the next album I'm going to talk about, which is the self-titled Deicide album. Yeah, the first few albums on this list I do not have on vinyl or CD, so alright, so deal with that. But yeah, the self-titled Deicide album, their debut. I mean, what can I fucking say about this album? Like, it's pure chaos, as death metal should be. Like, I mean, Glenn Benton just sounds really like demonic and relentless. Like this whole like it sounds like it came from hell, kind of like how Hell Awaits from Slayer does. And just so many great songs: "Lunatic of God's Creation," "Sacrificial Suicide," the title track, "Dead by Dawn," "Crucifixion." I can go on. Like, this is a death metal classic. So, great album. Next album I'm going to talk about is kind of on the border of death metal and grindcore. And that is Harmony Corruption by Napalm Death. This was their first album with Barney Greenway on vocals, which, in my opinion, is their best vocalist. As much as I love the first couple Napalm Death records, Scum and From Enslavement to Oblivion, This was a step up. Barney Greenway is a much better vocalist, and a lot of awesome songs. Unfit Earth, which features John Tardy and Glenn Benton. Both John Tardy's from Obituary. Glenn Benton, as I mentioned, is from Deicide. And other great songs like "Suffer the Children," "Vision Conquest," "Inner Incineration," "Malicious Intent." This is a death grindcore, whatever you want to call it, masterpiece. In my opinion, this is Napalm Death's best album. Yep, I said it. So, all right, now the next albums I do have on physical formats. So the next album we're going to talk about is Cowboys from Hell by Pantera. I mean, how could I not talk about albums from 1990 and not talk about this album? I mean, this is one of the most iconic albums of the year and the whole decade, and just in metal in general, as well as other albums I'm going to be talking about. And this was when, in my opinion, Pantera truly became Pantera. I mean, I couldn't get into the early stuff with Terry Glaze, and Power Metal was kind of a step up, which was the first album with Phil Anselmo, but it wasn't really there. But this, they they turned everything up to 11 with this. I mean, you got the iconic title track, which is still one of Pantera's best songs. Primal Concrete Sledge, Psycho Holiday, Heresy, Cemetery Gates, Domination. And you also got some really great deep tracks like The Art of Shredding, Message in Blood, The Sleep, Clash with Reality, Medicine Man. This album right here is great. I mean, and they only get better from here. So, there we go. Alright, next album, we are moving into the world of grunge with this album, Facelift by Alice in Chains. Their debut album, and actually, fun fact, this was the first grunge album to go gold. Before Nirvana, believe it or not. So yeah, this album, I mean, this is a classic. I mean, it's got one of the best opening tracks of any album, We Die Young, which is my all-time favorite Alice in Chains song. Then you got Man in the Box, which is still played to this day. Sea of Sorrow, Bleed the Freak. Love Bleed the Freak. Love, Hate, Love. It Ain't Like That. Like, it's also got some really great deep cuts, like I Know Something About You, Real Thing, Put You Down, I Can't Remember. Like, this is a great album. So, yeah. Alright, next album I am going to be talking about is Persistence of Time by Anthrax, which actually came out the same day as this, believe it or not. So yeah, this is kind of a step up from State of Euphoria. I do really like that album, but there was some lacking there. This, they wanted to get darker, they wanted to get heavier, and they did with this album, and I think it succeeded really well with this. And there's a lot of great songs on here, like the opening track, Time, Blood's really good. Keep It in the Family is probably my favorite on here. In My World, Gridlock, Belly of the Beast. Their cover of Joe Jackson's Got the Time is really good. Just a really good album. And this is my second favorite Anthrax album. Maybe I'll do a ranking of them one of these days. So yeah, Persistence of Time by Anthrax. Now we're moving to the world of traditional heavy metal with this album. It's my favorite album by this band. That is Painkiller by Judas Priest. This was a huge step up from the couple albums before this. Turbo and Ram It Down. Those only had like a few songs I liked each. Other than that, they weren't that great, especially Turbo. But this, they got heavier. This is definitely their heaviest album to date. And their last album with Rob Halford before he left for a while and before he came back in the mid-2000s. But this was his... But he definitely went out with a bang, at least for a while, for this album. I mean, the title track is iconic. That is my favorite Judas Priest song. Hell Patrol, All Guns Blazing, Leather Rebel, Metal Meltdown, Nightcrawler, Between the Hammer and the Anvil, Touch of Evil's badass. One Shot of Glory. Like, this album is fucking amazing. Like, Judas Priest's finest hour, in my opinion. Like, the album cover's fucking dope, too. I mean, look at it. So, yeah, Judas Priest with Painkiller. Alright, next we're moving back into the world of death metal with this next album, and that is Cause of Death by Obituary. In my opinion, the band's best album and one of the greatest death metal albums of all time. And actually, fun fact about this album cover here, that was originally going to be the cover for Sepultura's Beneath the Remains, which came out in 1989. But they ended up not going with it. So, yeah, which honestly, this is a better album cover than the one they ended up with. And that album cover's still badass for Beneath the Remains. But I'm getting off topic. Yeah, it's just a great album. I mean, Infected, Body Bag, Chopped in Half. Like, that's a great song to hear live. I've seen Obituary 2 times. They're out of the 90s death metal scene, they are the best for live performances. Circle the Tyrants, which is a Celtic Frost cover. Not as good as Celtic Frost's version, but still really good. Dying, Finally Arise. The title track, Memories Remain. I almost said Memory Remains, like the Metallica song. Turn Inside Out. I mean, this is just a fucking death metal classic. So, check it out if you haven't. I'm sure most people who are into death metal probably know this, but in case you haven't, check this out. Alright, next. This list is in no particular order, but if this would easily make the number 1 spot for best albums of 1990. And it's Rust in Peace by Megadeth. In my opinion, this is one of the greatest metal albums of all time. Like, this is easily top 10. Easily one of my favorite albums of all time as well. Megadeth's finest hour, Dave Mustaine's finest hour. Everyone in the band was on their A game. This was the first album with both Mick Menza and Marty Friedman. In my opinion, the best lineup they've ever had. I know I'm probably not reinventing the wheel, but so many iconic songs like Holy Wars, The Punishment Due, and Tornado of Souls, and Hangar 18. Those are 3 of my favorite Megadeth songs ever. Top 3. Take No Prisoners, Five Magics, Lucretia, Poison Was the Cure, Rust in Peace, Polaris, and heck, I even like Dawn Patrol. I know it's kind of like a weird, like, little bass interlude type thing, or whatever it is, but I don't know. I dig it. So, Rust in Peace by Megadeth. Classic. Alright, and the final album I'm going to be talking about in this video is another thrash metal classic, and that is Seasons in the Abyss by Slayer. This is my second favorite Slayer album. While Rain and Blood was just like straight up balls to the wall, thrash metal, in your face, heavy as fuck, fast as fuck, aggressive. And while South of Heaven was a bit more slower, still heavy, but kind of slower, this kind of brought the elements of both Rain and Blood and South of Heaven. And I think it succeeded really well with this. I mean, a lot of great songs. War Ensemble, Blood Red, Spirit in Black, Expendable Youth, Dead Skin Mask, one of my favorite Slayer songs. Hollow Point is another good one. Skeletons of Society is another one of my favorites. Born of Fire and the title track, which is kind of Slayer's softest song, if we're being honest. So yeah, Slayer Seasons in the Abyss, classic. Alright, that is it for this video. Please like, comment, subscribe. What are some of your favorite albums of 1990? Treat others the way you want to be treated. Don't gatekeep, and rock on.